Hi guys, my name is Naproud and I've gotten into Cambridge twice, and in this video I'm here to tell you guys as much as possible in order to help you guys get into Oxbridge as well if that is what you want. So to give a bit more background about myself, so the first time I applied was for undergraduate. I applied for natural sciences at Homerton College, which was the physical route, and I got in and that was 2018. Last year in 2024 I applied for a master's in entrepreneurship in Cambridge and I also got an offer for that as well. So basically, aside from my own personal academic journey in Cambridge, I've also been running a university consultancy and tutoring business for about 3 years now, and during my time I've helped students get into Oxford, Cambridge for courses such as like computer science, economics, psychology, and I've also seen a lot of like my friends and like candidates who do and don't get it. So in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my insights on like what is the difference between candidates that do get in and those who don't get in, and how you can, become a person who is basically like the perfect or ideal Oxbridge applicant. And because in my university consultancy team I work with a lot of Oxbridge tutors and I've had to interview most of those people, and I've also had a lot of exposure to their profiles, it's made me quite like an expert. Should I say I'm an expert? I think I can say I'm qualified as an expert at this point. It's made me quite familiar with what kind of profiles people need to get into Oxford and like how they think and that kind of thing. So that is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. If you guys are watching this and you're interested in getting one-on-one personal online consulting for universities in the UK, please do get in touch at Naproud Academy online official or on WhatsApp line or whatever. We will put the information on how to get in touch in the description box below, so you can DM us right there and inquire about our services. It's not just for Oxbridge but general universities in the UK. We've also had students getting into Imperial, UCL, LSE, Bristol, Bath, etc. Basically every UK university at this point. Or maybe not every, but like most. And before I forget, like these people are not just me, so we have consultants for many subjects, many colleges, all courses. Okay, this video is aimed primarily at students who are finishing year 12 and entering year 13, but it might also be useful for younger students or parents who have kids who want them to get into Oxbridge, because that's like a lot of the time I also get like year 8s coming, like parents of year 8s coming and asking like, how do I get my children into Oxbridge? I also want to give a disclaimer that first of all, this is based on my own experience as a person of like an international school background, ethnic minority-ish, and I went to did a STEM subject and went to Cambridge, so most of my examples are going to be for people who did quantitative subjects in Cambridge rather than like humanities subjects in Oxford, for example. Another disclaimer I want to give is, even though Oxford and Cambridge obviously like they get like they're ranked very highly every year and that kind of thing, I'm not here to say that these people are like inherently superior or you should be like an Oxbridge candidate, like you should have the characteristics of an ideal Oxbridge candidate. It's just that if that is what you want, then this I think is how you can get there. So aside from being a how-to guide, I hope this is a useful video as well to give you insight on whether or not you actually want to go there and whether you think it will be a good fit for you. Basically, I'm going to be outlining the common traits that Oxbridge students have as well as how you can get there from this point in time. Let's begin. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is grades, and if you go and look on the website, you are going to see the grade requirements, which are mostly all going to be in the A star to A range. However, if you actually do look at the profile of a lot of these Cambridge and Oxford students, maybe not necessarily Oxford, more on the Cambridge side, and especially for STEM subjects, by STEM I mean science, technology, engineering, mathematics, they will mostly be all A stars, like all predicted A stars and all A's in year 12. Most people, in order to have like a very safe chance of getting in, need to be getting over 90 UMS. Honestly, to be like a good competitive candidate, you should be getting like very close to 100 UMS, 95 UMS and above. This is based on what I've seen in like what people have gotten, what students have gotten, that kind of thing. As for myself, for example, back in 2018, I got 596 out of 600 for maths. That was what I applied with, which is 99%. I got full marks for chemistry AS, which was 300 out of 300, and then I got 97 PUM for physics, which was the high score in the country that year, which was Thailand. So that is the kind of profile that most Cambridge students have. Aside from their grades, they will generally also have done stuff like UKMT or like competitions, and they will have gotten stuff like a gold certificate at least, if not like going on to BMO, etc., BMO1, BMO2. Something that I really want to emphasize in talking about grades and knowledge and understanding is that you need to basically have like a very deep and clear and good foundation and base in your subject and like very good subject knowledge. And basically when you go into the interview, the interviewer is going to be able to tell, they will immediately be able to tell like in the first like 2 minutes or something based on like whether or not you like cancel your fractions or something like that. And because these are people who like live and breathe their subject and they've seen so many students and that kind of thing. So don't ever think about like, this is the kind of profile that I need to have and I need to go and like tick, tick, tick all of those things in order to be able to get in. It's more about dedicating a lot of real time and effort into your work and into your subject and getting that result, like as a result of your very good knowledge and understanding, if that makes sense. So don't like go away and think like, if I have all of these things, I am going to get in, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that later on. It's just that this is the usual base of what people have who do get in, like if you go and look at some trends. So in order to summarize, what I'm really saying is, I guess, if you do want to get in, go away and study a lot and care deeply about your subject and put in a lot of hard work and effort, and that is going to be seen. Okay. The second thing I want to cover is the Oxbridge type of intelligence, which is what they are looking for. And basically what I was saying before was like, you know, sometimes I do see students who get like full UMS or like very close to full UMS, like UMS meaning, I don't know, I assume people will know what UMS means, but if you don't know what UMS means, it means like you the number score that you get. Like aside from the letter score, you would also have a number score. So I do sometimes see people who get like very close to full UMS and then they still don't get into Oxbridge, but they do get into like other universities like Imperial, UCL, LC, etc. Or sometimes like people who don't get as high numerical scores do get in because they do well in the interview. So what is exactly the thing that differentiates these people who are also, you know, very intelligent, very hardworking, very dedicated, and they've probably done many, many past papers? The important thing here, I think, is to remember that exams are not a perfect, like, indicator of your skill in the subject, because you could, you know, be really good at a chemistry exam, but not be really good at chemistry. Because you might have gone away and like just very like specifically studied for this exam, for this paper, without having a true like passion and understanding of that subject. And that is, I guess, what they really want to look out for in the interview, whether you have that or not. The way that you can tell the difference between a person who does have this like actual skill and knowledge is that it's kind of like they built this up by themselves and then they applied it to the exam in order to do well in the exam, rather than being like, okay, I'm going to be good at this one exam. As a result, a lot of like students who do get into Oxbridge tend to have a lot more individuality and originality of thought. Like they have their own original ideas, and we can see that in the way that they might like suggest things or structure their arguments, because it's not going to be exactly the same. Like it's not just going to be memorized word for word, for example. It's going to be something that they processed already and then they spit it out again in their own way, which is going to be, you know, completely unique. And as a result of this, kind of tied into this is that the fact that, like, honestly, I don't know if this is offensive, when you actually go and meet a lot of Oxbridge students, you'll find that they are all kind of like very unique, I guess is a polite way of saying odd. Some are a bit strange, some are normal. But how do you develop this kind of intelligence if you are not already, like, if you don't already have it? To be honest, to a certain degree, I do think it's something that you're born with or not born with. But let's say you're in the group of people who do have the potential to have this kind of intelligence, but you aren't there yet. So what kind of actions should you be taking, or what kind of actions should you as parents perhaps be encouraging your child to take? Something that I would really recommend is thinking from, in like STEM subjects, they call it first principles. So for example, instead of like accepting that this formula is like this, you want to go away and think, why is this formula like this? And rather than looking up a proof, you should try to think of a proof by yourself. If it's like humanities subjects or like English or something, rather than like repeating the analysis that your teacher told you, you should like go and like analyze it yourself and try to give an original perspective, or at least you should be like thinking about it yourself rather than just like copy pasting, if that makes sense. What I'm going to emphasize here again is that like honestly, every single like work thing that you do, it really does appear at some point down the line. Don't think that anything you do isn't valuable. You can see intelligence which has like deep roots versus like intelligence that doesn't have roots. There is a difference, and people who know will know. So there's no real gain without sacrifice. Things are only valuable because you put in a lot of pain in exchange for it. So, next section. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is supercurriculars. And if you don't already know, a supercurricular activity is not to be confused with an extracurricular activity, which is just like general activities like sports or whatever, but it's going to be activities that are related to the course that you're applying to. So these could be internships, projects that you do on your subject but like are outside of the syllabus, reading books, articles, magazines, doing an online course about your subject but content which is outside of your syllabus, participating in competitions, and all of those things are considered supercurriculars. Oh, also stuff like societies and clubs which are related to your subject. So for example, if you are applying for physics, you could be like reading some like news about like I don't know, Nobel Prize winners or something. You could be in your school physics society, you could have participated in physics Olympiad, you could have done some internships at a research institute, and that kind of thing. You don't necessarily have to be doing all of these things, but like a few are good to showcase that you do actually have interest in your subject outside of what you're forced to do essentially in school. These supercurriculars are an example of your passion and your interest in your subject. And the summer between year 12 and year 13 is really good time to be working on these. So for example, you could do like an online course during the summer, or you could do an internship during the summer, which is related and for your like portfolio or personal statement. And basically you would write about all of these things in your personal statement as evidence that you like really like your subject, basically. So that's the idea behind it. I do want to say that sometimes students, like when they look at other students and then they see like, oh, this person did all of these things, it's very actually intimidating. And I would say that first of all, think about the stuff that you have probably already done in like the previous school year or in previous years, even before year 12, for example. And you can always like try to see the value in the things that you already have done, and you can write about those things as well. Also, I would suggest like not to compare too much, because you know we can't be doing everything. It's not as well about the quantity, and like it's not about like how impressive it sounds. Like just because someone like talked to a really famous professor or something, that doesn't make their application like super much more impressive than yours and that kind of thing. You can get in like with some humble stuff like I read articles in magazines, you know, which is like free or whatever. So it's not just about like privilege. Another good thing about supercurriculars is that it is actually a good way to figure out that like what you actually do and don't like, and like do you actually really like this subject or not. Because for example, when I was like trying to think about what I was going to apply for, I almost applied for math, but then I realized I was not really interested in math supercurriculars, and a lot of mine were like science based, so I decided to apply for natural sciences instead. If you're unsure about where you can start your extra reading, I would suggest that, well, first of all, you can Google like ideas for extra reading. You can ask ChatGPT or something these days, I guess. But another good place to start is going to the course web page on your like the university that you want to get into, which is, I assume, either Oxford or Cambridge because you are watching this video. But you can go and search up like first year engineering, and then you can look at like the subjects or modules in first year engineering, and you can go ahead and study some of those things, which is, I honestly think, a really good idea because you'll have to study it anyways if that is what you are going into. So you can prepare yourself a bit, and it's a sign that you can handle some of that first year content if you do write about it in your personal statement. A side note, please do not confuse extracurriculars with supercurriculars, as I said before. The difference is that extracurriculars, honestly, UK universities don't really care about extracurriculars, sadly, even though I know you put in so much effort into like doing all of those like volunteering activities and like being house captain or whatever. I'm sorry, they don't really care that much. Yeah, I mean, something that's really important to realize, which I did not realize until I got into about like year 12, is that the UK university system don't really care about who you are in your non-academic like the non-academic sides of you. They really only care about the academic side of you, which is like related to their course, you know? So they don't care about your like personality and like how much, like how many miles you run or whatever, even though actually you can write about it as well. Actually, if you do go and look at some stats, or like get to know some like Oxbridge people, you might see that there is actually like quite a lot of head boy, head girl, and people who have done student leadership positions or do have like very strong, like playing musical instruments or like in sports or whatever. But honestly, I don't really think that it ties in with the application that much. I think it's just because, you know, I would guess that it's just because like they are high performing in general as people, and so they like can also do other things well. However, I don't mean to say that this means extracurricular activities don't have any value. First of all, if you really think about it, like if you compare like two people who got exactly the same scores, performed exactly the same, but one of them is also like a head boy, did a bunch of other stuff, they probably are gonna lean towards the person who did a bunch of other activities and not the other person who just studied. And also it's like character building. You learn a lot, like you have other experiences, and you can use like life experiences really are valuable. So I would not say that means like you shouldn't do extracurricular activities. It's just that they are not something that you can be writing about in your application that much. You can write like a small paragraph on it, that's it. Okay, moving on. The fourth and final thing I'm going to be talking about is personality. And this is kind of an unofficial, informal section because I don't really want to like stereotype and be like, this is what all Oxbridge students are like, and obviously there's like a huge range of personalities once you do get there. But I did try to pick out some characteristics which I think are common among Oxbridge students, and maybe mainly Cambridge students because I'm exposed to a lot more Cambridge students. It's a bit hard to describe, but I would say that Cambridge students have something like, or maybe like probably Oxford students as well. It's kind of like very hard to describe. It's like if you bite down on it, they will like, it will not go through. That is a terrible explanation. What am I trying to say? They're quite like, I would say tough. Like when faced with a challenge, they will not crumble. They will push back. I think Oxbridge is a stressful environment, for sure. Oxbridge is a stressful and tough environment. Very, everyone there is very high performing, high pressure because it's a lot of very smart people, very capable people all in one place. And very stressful because the workload is extremely challenging. So I think what Oxbridge students kind of have to have is, you know, like imagine like everyone is a different material. When you put a lot of stress and pressure on different materials, they will all react differently. Let's say you are a diamond. It's not going to be crushed because it's hard. That's okay. That person would get in, you know? But like you could also be like water and just like slip away, and that person might also get in. But like let's say you're a plate would not get in because it would shatter. And you kind of want to have something. You want to have something which is going to be like, I will survive this. I don't know if that sounds a bit weird, but yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I think kind of what I'm trying to say based on like what I've seen in when like helping people with like mock interviews and that kind of thing, and seeing whether people do or don't get it. But like something like some grit, some like I will grit my teeth and bear it kind of thing. But like I said, the last section is kind of just like me trying to analyze people but not necessarily like, don't go in and be like, Naproud said that all Cambridge people are like that, but I went in and there are some pretty chill people who are not like what she said or whatever, and like, I don't have that kind of personality, can I get in? You don't have to have that kind of personality. It's just that when you go to Cambridge, I feel like, or Oxford, there's probably going to be a high percentage of these kind of people. Finally, actions. So based on the information that I have given you in this video, the first path of action is probably to decide whether or not you actually still want to go there. And whether or not this is actually what you want. Secondly, assess whether you are on the right track to getting into Oxbridge based on like grades and that kind of thing. And if you are not, is it realistic for you to target that? If you have thought about those two questions and the answer is still yes, then I would say, number one, go away and study like a crazy person. Not like a crazy person, just study like a very, very dedicated person. And secondly, go away and spend this time in the holidays working on your supercurricular activities and writing your personal statement. I will be making some more videos about how to get into Oxbridge and looking at a lot of things like statistics, college choice, Oxford versus Cambridge, how to write a personal statement, how to prepare for admissions assessments, how to prepare for interviews, etc. So subscribe if you would like to watch those, and some of them will be a paid course, so you will be able to access those. So get in touch for at Naproud_academy on Instagram, or at the handles which I'm going to put down below. And you can also get in touch, like I said, to get one-on-one consulting, whatever subjects that you want to apply for. It is not going to be me, it's going to be a bunch of other people who are like very like current students, alumni of like that course that you want to apply for, possibly the same college that you want to get into as well. So get in touch. This is the season, time to get ready, time to work hard. I know that exams just ended, but still. Before I end this video, Naproud Academy has been operating for about almost 3 years already at this point, and we've taught thousands of students from all around the world. So in Saudi Arabia, where I'm currently living, in Thailand, where I'm from, in the UK, where the universities are at, in like other countries like Japan and Malaysia and Germany, for example. So wherever you are, and India as well, wherever you are in the world, you're welcome at Naproud Academy. We have consultants, I think like hundreds of consultants working with us, and tutors for IGCSE and A levels and all of the Oxbridge courses and other courses as well, which are not Oxbridge. Aside from that, I am going to be releasing more videos, which are going to be part of a course on how to get into Oxbridge. So make sure to get in touch if you are interested in purchasing that. For some free videos, you can always subscribe to Naproud Academy, follow us on our multiple social media pages, and that is it, I think. Oh, one last thing. I also have a year 12 physics course, which I honestly think is one of the best, like, most valuable sources you can find out there for studying and getting, like, very high marks in physics AS. So if you're interested in that, you can also message us and get in touch. All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I will be looking through them in order to think for more video ideas in the future. If you have any questions, ask, and share this video if you found it useful. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye.